Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Crank Addict, and this is the channel for crank addicts like me, and hopefully like you. Still working on the Lamborghini. This is episode 5, I think. Last time you saw us cut off that real frame section, and we made 2 replacement sections to go in here, a lower and an upper. Well, we're going to have to pull this body off now so we can triangulate them, make them nice and strong for the suspension. But before we do that, we have to take the roll bar, the crash protection, and weld that back on. So let's get to that first. Hope you can see around me here, but this is that upper frame rail, lower frame rail. This fiberglass bulkhead is at a 5 to 10 degree angle, so you know I don't want to missing the angle when I weld this thing in, so I want to do it with the body on. It's going to fit just like that. I might need to do just a little bit of cleanup on that frame rail first, get some of that old paint off, and then we'll weld this thing in. One more thing I want to do before I pull that body off is I'm going to cut off these old body mounts that were kind of patched together here from the factory. So I'm going to cut off this square and that square, and we're going to use some square tubing to attach it to the frame. Alright, well, I've got the body mount set in place, but I'm going to pull it out real quick so you guys can see how it looks. All it is a piece of plate bolted to the fiberglass underneath. I got a 1.5 inch piece of tube underneath that I am jacking up a little bit to put some pressure on the fiberglass. If you don't jack it up, then it's going to sag later. So just a little bit. It doesn't quite come even here because of the thickness of the plate. It is what it is. I didn't think about that before when I designed this frame rail. So I'm about 1/8 inch off. But I'm going to go ahead and weld it in right there. That looks good. Should hold it until I get the body off, and then I'll finish welding it. The weld-through primer takes a little bit more power to get through than the bare steel does. That's why you heard that popping noise. Alright, well, I went ahead and dressed up the welds on the crash support and put in a couple more beads on the body mount, so they're not going to go anywhere. I still haven't finished welded everything. That'll happen when the whole frame is done, and I'll be able to, I don't know, take it apart and, well, it has to be coated, epoxy, painted, the whole works. There's some other things that need to be done though before that. We'll be doing some plating with steel to reinforce, you know, this back bulkhead area as well as the sides. The front's gonna get new plating. There's a lot of work to do still. But at this point, we can now work on joining this upper and lower frame section together. I just have temporary supports holding these at the proper height. So at this point, I need to build some struts, we'll call them struts, to go from this upper rail to the lower rail. The first one's not going to be too easy. It's only in a single plane. But as we work our way backwards, we don't have to worry about a multi-angled strut design, which is going to be a little bit more tricky to figure out. But first things first, let's get these two back ones done, and then we'll go from there. 72, 73. Call that 73 degrees. Oh man, it is windy today. Hope you guys can hear me with all the wind blowing by the garage door. But I've got these two first easy uprights cut, and they are symmetrical and they fit very nice. So I'm going to go ahead and weld these in. On a more minor note, I did have to put a strap on this bar here. I have it attached to this jack stand because at some point when I was welding, this thing came up just a 1/4 inch. And so I had to cut one of the welds. I'm pulling it back down. When I weld this in, I'll re-weld that crash support, and then it should be solid. But little stuff like that, you've always got to constantly check. Make sure everything stays in line, because you never know. So this wasn't that well supported before, and I just got a little too hot with my welding, and when things shrank, it pulled it up just a hair. And I said, just a 32nd of an inch up there in the front will be like a 1/4 inch here in the back because of the length of it. So it doesn't take much to distort things. So check, double check, always confirm before you continue. Let's weld. Okay, so I got all these pieces welded in. Everything's parallel and square. I'm really happy with the way things are looking. Now we need to build a truss design through here, kind of like on a roof of a house, to support these two rails. The issue we're going to have though is that this top rail is further out than the bottom rail. So not only does the metal bar have to come in to make it triangulate, it's got to come out as well. So I will probably be making templates out of cardboard and playing around with those until I get them just right, and then transfer that to metal so I don't cut a lot of metal needlessly. Right here where I set up the particle board is going to be the axle center line, or I should say the wheel center line, because I'm planning on moving the transaxle back a couple inches, whatever it takes, just a couple of degrees, in order to give this V12 engine more room up front. The CV joints can handle that, no problem. If you look at a modern truck these days, those CV joints are like 30 degrees coming down, so it's not a problem. So my plan is to build a truss here, there, to there, and then a second here to there, and then down here, and then we'll have one more triangular upright coming up to the firewall, the bulkhead there. Just take some of the pressure off this other one here. I don't want this guy here to be doing the whole work of supporting the engine and transmission and the flexion and all that stuff. So I'm going to build a second triangulation point for this frame. Okay, I think I've just about had this one here. I went ahead and marked these two pieces so that when I pull them off, I should be able to transfer them over to here. Let's get some tape going. Those. Something like that. And I sized the width just a little bit large, so I should be able to slip this over a piece of tubing and mark it. Voila. And I'll cut this one down here, and this one across here. Okay, so some of my edges don't line up quite right, so I'll be careful in lining them up, but that's it right there. Okay, the moment of truth. There we go. That'll work. Let's clean it up and weld it in. And I'm just going to tack it in for now, and we'll finish weld it later. Okay, well, I guess the question is, can I use this template for the other ones? Will this work? Let's see, how would this go? Like this, I guess. I'm hoping everything, let's see here. Nope, won't go like that. Well, that looks pretty darn close right there. I think I can reuse this template. All right.
frame structure right there. I need to go back and finish weld all these joints and clean them up. And what I'll do, I'll get you a final picture of it. But this back section is basically done. What do you think? I think this ought to be good. Okay, here is the rear frame section, mostly welded up and finished. I still need to add a few more things. I need to add an area right down here to support the gas tank, and I am going to take advantage of that to actually triangulate the front part of this to the tub. I will be running a shock brace across the back here. I'm not sure if it's going to be removable or not, but that triangulation will also help with the lateral stability of this frame. Once I get this frame off of the fab table, I'll go ahead and finish the lower welds. But we are just about ready to cut the front of this frame off. This is horrible technology. I think these are Fiat brakes. Look at the size of those rotors. That's not going to cut it on a road course. And unknown SPACs, maybe SPACs, coilovers. I have no idea what that is. I think we've got a Fiat steering rack, non-power, of course. That's got to go. So yeah, we'll be making quite a few changes up here as well. So if you haven't subscribed yet, better hit that button because we are moving fast. Thanks for watching.